A reading from the letter to the Hebrews. Brothers and sisters, since the law has only a shadow of the good things to come, and not the very image of them, it can never make perfect those who come to worship by the same sacrifices that they offer continually each year. Otherwise, would not the sacrifices have ceased to be offered, since the worshipers, once cleansed, would no longer have had any consciousness of sins? But in those sacrifices there is only a yearly remembrance of sins, for it is impossible that the blood of bulls and goats take away sins. For this reason, when he came into the world, he said, "Sacrifice and offerings you did not desire, but a body you prepared for me. In burnt offerings and sin offerings you took no delight." Then I said, "As it is written of me in the scroll, behold, I come to do your will, O God." First he says, sacrifices and offerings, burnt offerings and sin offerings, you neither desired nor delighted in. These are offered according to the law. Then he says, behold, I come to do your will. He takes away the first to establish the second. By this will we have been consecrated through the offering of the body of Jesus Christ once for all. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Here I am, Lord, I come to do your will.
Here I am, Lord, I come to do your will.
I have waited for the Lord, and he stooped toward me. And he put a new song into my mouth, a hymn to our God.
Here, my Lord, I come to do your will.
Sacrifice and oblation you wished not, but ears open to obedience you gave me. Burnt offerings or sin offerings you sought not. Then said, behold, I come.
Here, my Lord, I come to do your will.
I announced your justice in the vast assembly. I did not restrain my lips as you, O Lord, know.
Here am I, Lord, I come to do your will.
Your justice I kept not hid within my heart. Your faithfulness and your salvation I have spoken of. I have made no secret of your kindness and your truth in the vast assembly.
Here am I, Lord, I come to do your will. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. Mark. The mother of Jesus and his brothers arrived at the house. Standing outside, they sent word to Jesus and called him. A crowd seated round him told him, "Your mother and your brothers and sisters are outside asking for you." But he said to them in reply, "Who are my mother and my brothers?" And looking round at those seated in the circle, he said, "Here are my mother and my brothers. Whoever does the will of God is brother and sister and mother to me." The Gospel of the Lord. Just by accident, because that's the way it works with our daily readings, just by accident, today's readings kind of conflate in a very special kind of way on the theme of the will of God. So, especially as we understand it in the excerpt that we had from the letter to the Hebrews, we understand that God has a will and loves the Son. The Son loves the Father and embraces that will, and so there is one will one desire between the two of them, where the Son acts fully in accordance with the will of God the Father, and the will of God the Father is fully realized in the Son. Now, that's the dynamic that allows us to become saved people, because it's that will that is what leads Christ both to the cross and the resurrection. There is the embrace of the new sacrifice that the letter to the Hebrews talks about. It's that will and the action that comes from the embracing of that will that consecrates us through the offering of the body of Jesus Christ once for all. So there's where we are. Now the gospel conflates into that by telling us that when we embrace the will of God, we are also part of the family. We are brother and sister and mother to him. This is really important. It's difficult, but it's important. And it's also important for us to understand that the will of God that is being spoken of here, that phrase sometimes can be applied in different ways, okay? Sometimes what we talk about when we talk about the will of God is, well, it's whatever has happened to us. That's God's will. We got to suck it up. That's not quite what's being talked about here. Here, the will of God is the salvific will of God that asks us to embrace God's desire for us to be people of mercy and forgiveness and love. That's God's will for us. That is God's will for us. And so today, as we celebrate the Eucharist, which is the ultimate gift of God's love and mercy and forgiveness, we can ask the Lord to help us to live this mercy, to live the Eucharist that we receive, so that we can truly be people who embrace God's will in that sense and become part of his family. Let us stand and pray.